Hey guys, welcome back to Wanderlusting Lawyer. It is June 2nd, which means we are officially 2 days into Pride Month. I previously made a video about my experience walking the Camino as a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I made that a couple years ago, so I kind of wanted to touch base again about the issue, but also really this time come at it more from the perspective of what people who may not be part of the community can do to be better allies to, really this applies to anybody in any diverse group walking the Camino. My experience has just been with being a woman, but an LGBTQ plus woman. So I will link above to the video I made before. But yeah, so I have... Let me get my paper. So I recently, actually yesterday, did a conversation about this, or a Facebook Live for the wonderful Facebook group called Camino Confidence. It's for women who are really, maybe have already walked a Camino or are planning your first Camino and are feeling kind of nervous. Carol, who runs it, she's great, and she also does some guided Camino walks, so check it out. But yeah, this got me thinking that I wanted to do another video for my channel here. So basically, I've talked about this before, but Spain and France and Europe in general is really safe. Same-sex marriage is legal in most of those countries. It's not legalized in Italy, but from what I understand, same-sex unions are legal. So, you're in a part of the world, certainly where it's not criminalized, and where in general people don't really bat an eye these days. I think my personal opinion is that also pop culture has helped influence that. At least, on Netflix, there are French, Spanish series, and in all of them that I've watched, there's been at least one LGBTQ character. So I think that's part of the advancement. But in general, Spain has had same-sex marriage legalized since 2005. France took a bit longer. Not sure when it was legalized in Portugal. But all of that is to say, so this is a good advice for really anything related to the Camino. In general, it's very safe. People are very welcoming. But there have, and as recently as last year, been homophobic incidents. They're like bad ones in Spain, also in France. And so it's just good to know that this is something that is something to think about, let's say. So I think this kind of gets me to the main point I want to talk about in this video. And I think what kind of inspired this video is, in a sense, well, yeah, I did the talk yesterday, but there's been something that's been sitting with me for a little while. In one of the Facebook groups I'm in, somebody had posted, a man had posted that he was planning to walk the Camino with either his husband or his partner, and was asking kind of if he should expect, if he should prepare differently, what he should expect in terms of people's reaction and treatment. And a lot of people, I think very well-meaning people, commented things along these lines. Who cares? Nobody cares about your sexual orientation. We're all just pilgrims. Spain is totally safe. Don't even worry about it. Nobody's going to think about that or care about that. To me, these are akin to saying to people that say, well, I don't, in the racial context, I don't see color. That may be well and true, but in a sense, it minimizes others who are actually in the community, their experience, because it comes across as dismissive, even if you're being extremely well-meaning, because just because you yourself didn't see anyone being discriminated against, or just because you yourself don't think that anyone would treat somebody differently, that doesn't mean that that's the case. In my last video, I talked about how a woman from Texas was extremely, not to my face, but was basically warning my Camino family, which were two Camino cousins, two female cousins, away from walking with me. She said, "Did you know Kate is a lesbian?" As if it was some big deal. That really, I brushed off my shoulders. I didn't care about this girl, but it did leave a lasting impact on my experience, seeing as I'm here talking about it several years later. So the point I want to make is, rather than lead with it's no big deal, nobody cares, it's going to be fine. I encourage everyone to really like listen and ask questions instead of offering your opinion on what it's going to be for somebody that's a member of a community that you're not a part of. So in that vein, I made a list of do's and don'ts. I guess it's more don'ts because the do's are pretty straightforward. Like I just said, do be open to conversation, do really listen, do be an ally. But to kind of dive deeper into that, I think it helps getting into the don'ts. And a lot of these are taken from my personal experience. So the one I just started with the one I'm going to start with is basically related to what I was just saying. Don't assume someone's experience is okay, or that no one cares on the Camino, because people do care. Let's not forget there are people walking this for who are deeply religious, and maybe their religious beliefs don't they condemn homosexuality, right? So we can't assume that. That's step one. Don't use gendered questioning if you can avoid it. I mean, this is something that I do personally with my niece and nephew and all kids going forward. And yeah, there are people going to say, oh, this is too leftist, this is too woke, why can't we just say what we've always said? Well, you can, but I'm trying to give you advice on how to be an ally and to be there for somebody that, is maybe open but is tentative about being open about their sexuality. Try to avoid gendered questioning. If the topic of personal relationships comes up, and maybe it won't, but instead of assuming and saying, oh, do you have a husband, do you have a wife, whatever, or seeing a wedding ring and asking about that, just use the word partner. Use a gender neutral term. I'm speaking from experience. I know that when that's happened to me, it has made me feel it's just made me feel happy, and like it's very easy for me to answer, oh yeah, my wife. Whereas when this happens to me all the time with customer service, when I say I'm calling on behalf of my spouse, or I've even said my wife, and then they say, oh yeah, and what's your husband's name? And I have to say, no, my wife. And it is not a huge deal, but it just feels really good when you don't have to have that moment of internalized, like, oh, should I let it slide, or can I correct this? So, and this is piggybacking off of that moment, and this is really more for people that are in the LGBT community, or I guess they're allies if you hear this. A lot of people, it has taken them a long time to feel comfortable coming out, especially in maybe my generation and older. Don't feel ashamed if you need to, let's say, cover. I guess we'll say it like that. If you feel more comfortable saying that you are in a relationship with a man or a woman, the opposite of your gender, so that you don't feel like you need to expose yourself to an uncomfortable situation, don't feel badly about that. You are keeping yourself safe. You're still being authentic to yourself. Again, it's really nobody else's business. And so if you're in that situation anyway where you're not comfortable responding, listen to your instinct. Don't ask if someone is in the correct bathroom. And I said this in my video a few years ago that I said the incorrect bathroom. I said I couldn't really speak to the trans experience, and I still can't. I have not met a trans person, at least that I knew, or that was open with me about that on the Caminos I've done. So I don't know what that experience is like. I think there is a potential for issues to be more acute because of shared bathrooms, shared bedrooms, but more importantly than that, gendered bathrooms. And I know somebody had told me, in Spain, that doesn't matter, you can use whatever bathroom you want. But especially with Americans walking, and we Americans were in the news for all of our horrible bathroom laws about use the bathroom of your assigned at birth sex. If you see somebody in the bathroom and you think they're in the bathroom for the wrong gender, just don't say anything. This is my advice. They'll figure it out soon enough if they really are in the wrong bathroom. And if they're not, even if you're trying really, really, really to do them a favor, it's just going to create an uncomfortable situation. So I would leave that. This happened to me in similar vein. Don't correct somebody's, I don't know if this applies so much to English speakers, but what happened to me is I would say like girlfriend or boyfriend in French or in Spanish, and people would correct me to I would say girlfriend or wife, and they would correct me to boyfriend or husband, thinking, oh, this gringa, this foreigner, she doesn't understand our language. So just take at face value what somebody tells you. It is more important than linguistic, correctness. And for me to say that is saying a lot, because I'm like a grammar fanatic. So just don't touch that. Don't assume anything based on appearances. I talked about this in my last video too. The appearances, like how people dress, how they cut their hair, and what that says about their sexuality is I feel like there are very close connections here in the United States, or at least there have been traditionally, but that's really changing in Europe. So don't make any assumptions, just be open to conversation again. And then lastly, this is a very interesting one. I think for people both a part of the community and allies who are quick to stand up for things that are sounding really, really rude. Don't be surprised if in France or Spain you hear like their version of the word homosexual or homosexuel, homo. Here in the United States, that has become a term we do not say. And I did research into it, and it's really because the term was politicized to discriminate against the gay community. So we've moved just towards saying gay, lesbian, queer is a really good all-encompassing term. That's a good lesson for those of you out there who are asking, what does queer mean? It's really just an umbrella term for somebody to pick if they don't feel like they fit into the other categories. Just says, hey, my sexuality is something other than straight. Sorry, my little Cashew, do you want to come here? My dog's here because it's thundering and he's a little nervous. Come here, baby. Let me get him. Come here. So I think that's my last one, but I'll let you guys see Cashew. Come here, honey. Come on. Come here, my baby. Do you want to say hi? Sorry, guys, but it's thundering and he's scared. So Cashew is here to tell you, just be a good person, be open-minded. I didn't finish my last point. Sorry, this is a little all over the place. In Spain and in France, it's still really common to use the word homo or homosexual. They're moving more and more, especially in the gay communities themselves, toward using gay, lesbian, and those words. But don't automatically take offense to it like I did at first. Just understand that it's still pretty well accepted and it doesn't have the same derogatory meaning that it does here in the US. So I hope that is helpful for you guys. I know that, I said some stuff maybe people don't agree with, and if you want to start a conversation below, go ahead. I just ask you to really please keep it respectful and remember that how I started out this video, you can never understand the experience of somebody else, even in the same community, right? I can't understand the experience of somebody else, but I think I lead with compassion and not assuming that everything's okay. So I'm gonna leave you guys now. I'm gonna cuddle my doggy during this thunderstorm, and I will see you soon. Buen Camino and happy Pride.